I think it's an understatement to say that you do not shy away from controversy. And, there's already been a dust-up since your book has come out, and you've been doing these interviews from the Catholics and the Southern Baptists who say that you're criticizing them unfairly for treating women badly. Jewish readers are saying that when you said that your lack of relationship with the president was probably due to your views on Israel and Palestine, and then others on the internet are saying that you were soft on Islam in your book. I mean, I'm sure that this is something that you've expected, but are there any countries or any faiths that you think are worse than others in their oppression of women?
Well, there certainly are, yes. For instance, in some areas of Africa, in, say, Egypt, for instance, 90% of the women in Egypt who are living now have had their genitals mutilated. And some of them are horrendous in nature, where they're cutters using a razor blade. And I have met with a number of cutters, by the way, who have abandoned their profession. They not only remove the sexual ability to enjoy the sex act to discourage promiscuity, but they also sew up the orifice of a woman's sexual organ so that she can only urinate or menstruate. And then when she gets married, they go in and cut again to permit her to have sexual activities or to bear a child. That kind of thing goes on. And by the way, it's not ordained in any holy scripture, but it's something that's perpetrated by mothers who went through this as children, and they think it's a proper thing to do for their daughters. So that doesn't have anything to do with religion.
Right.
And I would say that that honor killings of girls who are raped, and their mother and father, and particularly the younger brothers who are still juveniles, murdered their sisters or their daughters because she was sexually abused, or if she violates their order about whom to marry or does something like that, then she's killed. That's not part of religious belief. You can find that quote, by the way, in Deuteronomy in the Old Testament, where it is mandated that if a man marries a girl and finds out that she's not a virgin on his wedding night, he can take her back to her father's front door and she should be stoned. And you may know that Jesus faced that when he forgave the woman who had permitted adultery. But this is something that's been done. But the worst crime that goes on a global basis that I cover in the book is the murder of little girl babies by their parents. And this is done after they're born, when they see that she's a girl. And lately, with the advent of sonograms, they can detect the sex of a fetus before it's born, and they abort the baby selectively. And there were anywhere from 30 to 60 million people killed in the Second World War, and 160 million women right now and girls are missing from the face of the earth because they've been murdered by their own parents. Mm-hmm. This is the worst case of women's abuse that I can think of, because the girls have actually been killed.
You point out just now that actually those don't have much to do with religion. And right. What I'm interested in is knowing about religion and different faiths. Is there a particular faith that oppresses women more than another?
The last time I was in Myanmar, which used to be Burma, and I've been there before, I always make a practice of meeting with the religious leaders. And the eastern part of Myanmar is next to China, and a majority of people there are Christians. And in the northwestern corner near Bangladesh, a lot of them are Muslims, but most of them are Buddhists. And I meet with the leaders so that I can try to discourage the abuse by the Buddhists, who are a majority of the others. And all the men around the table will tell me, they're all men, the leaders of these different denominations, that they treat women equally. And then they pause for a few minutes and say, but differently. And it differently means that a woman is not legally abused because she's a woman, but she's not given equal opportunity to serve God in their own perspective of God. So I think that this kind of abuse takes place all over the world by selective excerpts from whatever religious text you use.